Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Apologies for the technical mishap earlier. It wasn't part of the plan, and it wasn't a good surprise either. But we seems to be okay now, so we should be able to start this training. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this training. It's the first of many, and we hope that these many trainings will be able to help NIS to go through this project and produce the indicator as well as the strategy. Um, so the purpose of this training is more to provide an introduction to the use of big data, the concept of big data, and how we're able to use big data to produce official statistics. As we go through the training, please feel free to ask questions whenever you feel like, and ask for clarification. This is an opportunity for you to ask our experts on details and problems that you may have come across and areas that you want additional comment on. This is the agenda for today. We will start with a remark by Tanya, and then we will hand over the floor to Mr. Sometia to share a few words and also um, as our participant to introduce themselves because we also want to know them, and as the participant to share their learning expectations and objective, and what they would like to learn from this training so that we can better target future trainings to their needs. So without further ado, I think I will hand over the floor to Tanya. Let me stop sharing my screen first. Oh, there you go. It seems like Matthew is able to join us. I'll hand over the floor to Tanya to give a remark on behalf of ESCAP. The floor is yours, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Roth. And it's really wonderful to see everyone here. And I do apologize for the technical glitches. I hope everyone managed to get into the call and can see and hear everything. And specifically, a particularly good morning to our colleagues from the Cambodian National Institute of Statistics, Mr. Somatea Boy and everyone else. It is wonderful to see you here today. As Rolf mentioned, my name is Tanya Sayersen, and I'm a statistician in the statistics division here at ESCAP. And I've been leading our work on big data over the last few years. But really, all of the work that's involved in this workshop and in this project overall is really Roth. So I think he's the one in the lead here, and he's doing an excellent job. So thank you all for joining us today, and we really excited to hear from you and to have your active participation today. And of course, this is just the beginning of multiple activities under this project. So that I know that many of you have been working statistics for a long time, and that obviously means that we're all aware of the data gaps that are really one of the biggest issues in the production of official statistics. We also know that over the last few years, there's been an exponential increase in the demand for high quality and timely official statistics. And we've really been kind of pushed to close these data gaps as quickly as possible. And of course, with the additional kind of needs for data for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we're trying to look at how we can fill these data gaps. Globally, national statistical offices have been working with the United Nations Statistics Division, as well as other partners, including ESCAP and a lot of other partners, to explore the use of big data for filling these data gaps. Kind of more officially, the work started in 2014 when the Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics was established. And that is now called the Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. And it's really mandated to provide a strategic vision, direction and coordination of a global program on big data for official statistics. And this, of course, includes indicators for the 2030 Agenda. In Asia and Pacific and at ESCAP side, most of our work so far within this area has been trying to facilitate knowledge sharing amongst the different national statistical offices who have been working in this area and have been trying to start doing projects on using big data for official statistics. So over the last few years, we've been documenting a lot of the experiences in the region. And now we're trying to move into work more directly with individual countries. And this includes our pilot project to use big data for the production of environment gender indicators in Asia and the Pacific. And we are super happy to have Cambodia involved in this project. The objective of the project is to support Cambodia as well as Mongolia, actually, to explore the use of big data for production of an indicator. In Cambodia, the indicator will be on the proportion of population with access to electricity by sex. And I know that you've been involved in the decisions on this indicator, and that it's highly relevant to your long-term rectangular strategic phase 4, as well as the medium-term national strategy for the development of statistics. So along with the actual production of this indicator, we'll also support NIS to produce a strategy or strategic documents to kind of guide future work on this indicator. So the training today will be followed by a few other training sessions, and we really hope that you will use this opportunity to ask questions and seek clarifications as much as possible. It's a fairly small group, and we have some really great experts here. We have Matthew and TT joining us, and they're really international experts in the field. We are super happy they're supporting this project. And of course, both Roth and I and our colleague Nasi Khan from PIM will also be here. So the more questions, the better. We really hope that this training will be a step in the process of you feeling confident about using the concepts and methodologies to look at this using big data for this indicator in the future. As I mentioned, Matthew and TT are really fantastic. We're super happy to have them on board. And they are going to lead both today and the future training sessions. And they're also the ones who will work closely with you on throughout the process, as well as Roth, obviously. I'm really pleased that you're all here, and I really thank you once again for the opportunity for us to work with you closely on this, and also thank you to Roth and to everyone to letting me introduce this work. I'm very excited to see how it progresses, and I really look forward to our discussions today. So thank you very much. And we cannot hear you, Roth.
Can you hear it?
You're very low. I think you might need to move your microphone. I think you've hidden your microphone behind your ear. There you are.
I've hidden my microphone so that I could take a sip of my coffee and forgot to put it back. Thank you so much for the kind word, Tanya. It's we're really lucky to have you here with us today as well. I've taken over Matthew's role a bit, but I'll pass it over back to him soon. But for now, I think we'll just hand over the floor to NIS, to Mr. Somitir, our focal point for this project, to share a few words, remarks from NIS on behalf of NIS, and ask our participants here to quickly introduce themselves and share their learning expectation. So, Mr. Somitir, បងសូមអញ្ជើញបងបាទ
បាទសូមអរគុណខ្ញុំព្យាយាមឥឡូវបើកកាមេរ៉ាបានបាទអត់អីបាទអរគុណ So first of all I would like to respect to Tanya from ESCAP Mr. Savanarot ហើយនឹងជំនាញការបាទហើយនឹងគ្នាយើងផ្សេងទៀតបាទ Okay on behalf of Excellency Her Excellency Director General of the NIS would like to say thank you to ESCAP that support this project to the NIS since as we all know that big data is a very crucial tool to collect the data, not only the regular work of the NAS doing the census and survey. But through this opportunity, I think we can move forward. Since the last year, we got the support from the Statistic ASEAN to do the pilot project, first pilot project on big data to scraping the data on the tourism on the from the booking website. And unfortunately, that we got a little training. We only know how to scrapping the data by changing the name of the province, as we have 25 provinces in Cambodia, and then we can only change the name of the province, and then we scrapping the data through the internet. And we hope that from this project, we will get more knowledge on how to on how to collect data from the, especially from the, as mentioned in uh, guideline or framework, that we can collect data from the satellite, from the website, from the mobile phone, as that is the a lot of data to be collected. And we not only hope that after this project will end in this year, we also hope to get the support from ESCAP to do the another job, that we have a lot of work to do on big data, since the member of the ASEAN stat, especially Indonesia, Malaysia, they have a tool, a portal to collect the big data, as we have seen through the training with the ASEAN statistics. So this is what I hope that, again, would like to say again to UNESCAP that support this project. And we also do hope that after this project and in this year, we hope UNESCAP will support to do another project regarding to this big data. Yeah, thank you very much.
អរគុណបងអាចសុំឲ្យគ្នាក្រុមការងារដូច introduce បន្តិចចឹងណាបងទីឈ្មោះឲ្យគេគាត់មុខងារគាត់ធ្វើអីផ្នែកអីចឹងណាបងហើយគ្រាន់តែចង់ share តើពួកគាត់ចង់រៀនពិសេសចំណុចអីគេសម្រាប់ training នេះចឹងណាបងបាទយើងទៅជុំវិញនឹងតិចទៅបងបាទ
start first.
Okay, please go ahead, Mr. Samrat.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Savanrat, for making introductions, and Mr. Sumetir, and also good morning to Mr. Matthews and Titi Kati and Danja. Actually, and also send my missing to all colleagues in Cambodia. Actually, I'm not in the country now. I'm distancing from foreign country in Germany, and this time for morning, very early morning for me, and I try to join as this is very important when we think about big data and very big, and I have to join. Okay, thank you. My name Samrat, as you can see my name on the screen, and I'm as a Deputy Director of Department Statistical Policy and Cooperation. And currently I'm engaged in data collection facilitate in ministry and also the line ministry agencies, and also technical staff of the national data platform we know as the CAMSTAT, with also with Mr. Someti also. And what I expect to learn from this chance is we get deep more understanding about the conceptuals of the big data, and also the process as well as the tool that we can capture the data, not only from the web scraping or at the source of the data we can captures, and how the tool analyzes or create the modality. That is our expectation, and we can learn from uh, we can say like the AI and also the machine learning, and what the other tool and the process for our staff, that most of us have the new staff to connect with this subject area. And it would be this time is initial pathway for our colleagues to get understanding and familiar with the big data. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name Mardi. I'm from NIS. Actually, my responsibility in the organization, I am the data analysis and also data management. So I actually ESCAP has provided big data training is very important to us to improve our capacity and to improve the knowledge and also applies in plus work also. So very important. Yeah, thank you.
បាទអរគុណម៉ារ៉ាឌីគ្នាយើងផ្សេងទៀតសូមទី1ឈ្មោះទី2តួនាទីមកពីយុវដ្ឋានណាហើយ expectation នៅវគ្គហ្នឹងបាទវគ្គហ្នឹងយើងដឹងថាយើង big data តើយើងចង់បានអីពី big data អញ្ចឹងណាបាទអញ្ចឹងសូមបន្តទៀតអ្នកបន្ត
Good morning. My name is Chandler. I am the deputy auditor of Department Technology, Social and Technology and Innovation of NIS. I speak from discerning. Here, are you here?
បាទបងបាទអីបងបន្តបងបាទ
I speak from training is I try to understand of the big data, and I understand more and more about big data, and I can use the information of a big data. Yeah, thank you very much.
អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំអាចឲ្យឈ្មោះតាមតាម list ហ្នឹងហ្មងបងអាចយើងគ្រាន់តែ share គ្នាតិចតួចថាឈ្មោះទូនាទីហើយនឹងតែយើងរំពឹងទុកថាយើងចង់បានអីពី training អញ្ចឹងក្នុង list ដែលខ្ញុំមានហ្នឹងគឺបង Demong តើបងអាចជួយ share ទៅគ្នាយើងតិចបានទេបងបាទ
ហ្នឹងហើយបង
បាទបងអាច introduce ខ្លួនឯងតិចបានទេបងបាទ
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am an officer at Statistical Information Service Department. This is the first time at the best opportunity for me to join this program. But so everything is very new. So I want to learn more and more about this. and it's the best chance to join with UN ESCAP, and I'm so pleased to join this. Thank you.
បាទអរគុណច្រើនបងបន្ទាប់មកបងស្រីលក្ខបងហាន់ស្រីលក្ខ
Good morning, everyone.
បង
My name is Hendrelia. I am an officer and statistic information survey department of NIS. And my first time join the programming.
បាទអរគុណស្រីលក្ខ Thank you from Dimong and Miss Dimong and Henselia. They are new staff, but from the statistical, from the with the pilot project with the ASEAN statistic, they can use the Python to scrubbing the number of hotel in Cambodia. They currently they are using the code to scrubbing the data from the web.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Bong. So I think we only have 2-3 more. Okay. We will quickly go through them. Bong Chanla, Bong I introduce ខ្លួនតិចបានទេបង
have already
Chanla ដូចគាត់នៅហើយហ្នឹង
Janlas already, I think.
Okay.
Please give a chance to. I think Mr.
Sela.
Mr. Sela.
Okay, thank you. Good morning for all. Yes, my name is Sela. Yes, I am a deputy director of the Statistical Information Service Department. Yes, and for my expectation for in this training course, yes, I hope that I will learn more about the big data and the way to collect the data from the online. You know that for collecting the data from the online is very important in the Cambodia because it is a new technical that we can get effectively data from the online and very fast. And yes, thank you. To collect, yeah, fast to collect the data. Okay, thank you.
អរគុណបងបន្តមកបងប៊ូនី
Good morning all. My name is Samoni, working for statistical standard and analyzing department and also the teamwork of national reporting platform as you know Kamstat. My expectation in this training we can improve big data for statistic national statistic office. Thank you.
បាទអរគុណបងបាទចុងក្រោយគឺបងសុផានបងសុផាន Hello បង បាទ
Thank you. I'm Watsopan, Churo of Social labor at the statistic of social department. Thank you.
So I think that's everybody. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, and apology we're taking a lot longer than expected. Before we actually begin, actually, Matthew, if we could ask for a quick group photo for everyone. So and then that'll be helpful. So just yep, that would be fantastic. So just a quick 1-2 minute photo. បងអាចបើកកាមេរ៉ាបន្តិចបានទេបងបើកកាមេរ៉ាយើងសូមថតរូបក្រុមការងារយើងមួយដើម្បីទុកជា record បាទអធិស្ឋានខ្ញុំព្យាយាមបើកកាមេរ៉ាដែរបើកបានអូអត់អីបងបាទបងចាំបងនឹងបាទអត់អីបងយើងគ្នាយើងអាចបើកបានប៉ុណ្ណាយើងបើកប៉ុណ្ណឹងសិនណាបងបាទណាបាទគ្នាយើងបើកបានសូមបើកណាបាទអភ័យទោសផងបងបងអត់បានបើកបាទPim, are you here? I can take a screenshot, but you can also help
yes,
take one as well.
I can spare you. Yeah, I'm here, and everyone opened the camera already. Mr. Horjala and the other.
I can.
Oh, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I gonna count 1, 2, 3, and then you can smile. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
All right,
okay,
thank you.
Another shot. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So we can. You're welcome to turn your camera off, and we can start the training now. Okay, Matthew, over to you.
Thank you, Roth. Good morning, everybody. It's great to meet you and great to see you on camera there for a very short time. Okay, I think we've taken a lot of time introducing each other, but that's okay. In terms of what we're going to do today, I think there's quite a range of training needs in the room, a range of knowledge about big data, but that's okay. The first part of the session is really going to focus on kind of the basics about big data, which some of you will know and some of you won't know maybe. That's fine because at least then we're making sure that we all understand it in the same way, which is going to be very important for the future. So the first section is really about making sure we all understand what it is we're talking about. The second section is really understanding the implications for official statistics. And again, some of you will know some of these things, but it's really important that we have the same shared kind of understanding of the framework for how we develop this project in the future. It's also about, today is also about sharing knowledge between us. So colleagues in NIS that know things about big data, please share your knowledge. There'll be breaks for questions and clarifications and discussion. But really also what we want to do is make sure that we use today to understand how the training can develop in the future. We've got a few more training sessions and activities to do during this project, but the project is quite limited in time. So it's worth just understanding, I think, that we're not going to save the world in a few months in terms of big data, and NIS has quite a journey to go on in terms of big data. This project hopefully will help, but it can't solve everything. And I think it's important that we focus on the indicator and moving quickly towards providing data and statistics for that indicator. But in the strategy that we're going to develop over the next few months, we can start to identify other areas of big data usage that's going to be useful for NIS that you need to develop further skills for. So in this in this project, there's going to be a big focus on things like Earth observation data, OpenStreetMap, and not so much on kind of mobile phone data and other things. But we need to kind of recognize that and identify what training you need in the future for that. This session won't look at the tools that you need for data collection so much as it will look at just the basics around using big data. The next session, we will go into more specific technical solutions and methodologies about the types of big data to be used in this project. But actually, I'd underline that this project really isn't about big data. It's about how do we use big data and official statistics through traditional sources. How do we combine them? And I think that's really important to underline. What's really important as well is some of you will have seen the guiding framework document. And in that guiding framework document, there's a lot of references, a lot of links to web pages and documents that you should really look at. It'd be really useful if you can start to look at those things. That will really help your learning. But also, we'd like to kind of focus you on kind of two things for you. Today's session will talk about a quality framework for big data, and the UN ECE has one we're going to focus on. So please have a look at you all get these slides. So please have a look at that link. And also in terms of your indicator in Cambodia, we recommend that there's two links there. The World Bank has done quite a lot of work in relevant areas, so you can have a look at that link on that page there. So quickly, just to kind of recap about where we are with this project. So the next steps are really about developing a strategy. And these are the key elements of the strategy are on the screen there. And that's what we really need to kind of work together on. It's kind of, we're not here to kind of tell you how to do it. We're here to help you, to support you in developing this strategy. So it's really a lot depends on you as well. So today and in the future, just tell us kind of what we can do to help you in these areas. But these are where we need to kind of focus. So understanding the user needs, we're already got a really good steer from you on that. Partnerships, we really need to understand with whom the NIS needs to work with to produce data for this indicator, but also what partnerships you're going to need in the future for using big data. We're also going to, in the strategy, look at the statistical methodology, which there are quite a lot of things to consider, and we'll think about some of those things today as a starting point. We also need to, as always with big data, think about not just optimizing the opportunities we have here, but also managing the risks. So we know that there are quite some limitations on big data or digital data, and we need to kind of make sure that we integrate those risks and limitations into our approach to the indicator and to your strategy for using big data in Cambodia. We also, in that strategy, need to think about, okay, what have we learned in this project, and what do we still need to do? What does Cambodia NIS still need to do in the future? And we need to think about, well, what resources are needed. So there's going to be limitations on resources, and we can't do everything. We can't do everything in this project, and you need to think about going forward what resources are available to you, and make sure that the strategy has a plan that's really relevant to the amount of resources available, and thinking about training and things like this going forward. So in terms of kind of the mechanics of the project, the next steps, we need to kind of refine user needs over the next few months and look at making sure that what we're producing with this indicator is really relevant to what your key users need, maybe at the national and local government levels. We're going to have some further training sessions, and we're kind of it's kind of iterative. So as we go along in the project, we're kind of developing the right kind of training that's going to help you. We need to think about whose data we're using and whose skills we need to kind of produce the data. So we need to kind of start engaging with other stakeholders outside of NIS. We need to move quickly on kind of focusing on deciding on the selection of data sources. What data sources we're going to use, what data sources are aspirational, so maybe there's other big data that we know is going to be useful to add value, but we need to kind of park it and look to the future to use those sources. We will need to identify kind of a national workshop, which will hopefully involve other production stakeholders. And then in December or around December, think about sharing your learning with other countries in the region. So I've done that very quickly because I think that we need to move on to the next session. So my colleague Titi, who is is a consultant but used to work at BPS Indonesia, and she has a lot of experience with using big data in official statistics. She's going to now talk you through kind of an introduction to big data for official statistics. Titi.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And dear all, good morning. Yeah, we can start data for official statistics. Yes, next, please. Yeah, it's a what is big data? Actually, you already know it's a data collection, which is huge and it's challenge to process. And what is the characteristics? It's usually the volume. The volume is very big, and also the velocity. Yes, next. The velocity and yeah, that is only the definition of big data. Maybe you can find it in the Wikipedia because, like, I tried to search in UN, but I couldn't find. But yeah, and we already know the concept of big data usually. Yes, next please. Yeah, because it is because of the volume and variety and velocity and variability. So the challenge is the capturing the data because like for official statistics is kind of new. We usually only have kind of like statistician, but now we need data scientists and also more data engineering, which know about the data lake, cloud, Hadoop, and something like that. Usually, we only need statistician on some of the computer science, know how hardware and some of software with census and survey. We didn't need Hadoop, but for big data, we need Hadoop software, and we have to kind of like train with it. Yes, next please. The type of big data, there is two type. Some people might make it three, but two is enough actually. That's a structured one and unstructured, like mobile phone data or scanner data or credit card data is a kind of like structure or semi-structure. Like mobile phone, it is actually similar to a bit similar to the administrative data, but very big, and also the scanner data and the uh, yeah, the scanner data and also credit card data or yeah, credit or debit card data. And the unstructured one is plenty, like social media data, like Facebook and also Google Google data and Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. Yes, next please. The source of data, it can be from communication system like a mobile network, and smart mobile device data or social media. The what I mean with smart mobile devices like application that you it can be like Grab or Uber or also like booking.com or other application. And sensor data like satellite image, facial radio identification, website data, business process generate is kind of like data from business process like MLUs or forward keys, and crowdsourcing data that's developed by many people like OpenCell ID and OpenStreetMap and others data. Yes, next please. This is actually taken from the Eurostat, the document, the big data, but that's actually for tourism, but it's applicable for others too. So they make it like five, like a sensor, uh, and they also add Wikipedia and picture. Actually, for the picture, like the CCTV data, it can be also used. I mean, it's like big data as well. And like for research, we can use big data, but for official statistics, we have to like prudent when we use big data, because we have to refer, yes, next please, to the fundamental big data for official statistics. This is actually the fundamental is the basic of the production of the statistics, which is include other source like survey, census, and administrative data. It is adopted by UNSE in 1994 and endorsed in 2013. So when we use big data for official statistics, we have to refer this big document. But if we use like for other purpose, like for research, and then some of this can be used, like in I think in ONS UK and in CBS Netherlands, if they have a kind of like beta production, beta statistic. So that is not official statistic, but it can be published, but as a beta statistic, or I think ONS mentioned as experimental statistic or something like that. So kind of like a pilot or exercise when using big data. Yes, next please. Next, so when we start big data, it's actually start in 2014 when the UNS in for 2014. Um, the leader at the UNSC said that all the NSO and NSI, National Statistic Institute, should embrace big data if the user will, if not want to live by the. Actually, they start with the publish of the word that count. Yes, next please. The word that count. Yeah, with published by the group of EIG. It's kind of like this is actually a data revolution report, and inside there is various big data is used, mobile phone, satellite image, and others, and then for various use cases including health and urban and others, urban planning and some others. Next please. And why is big data is important for official statistics? Because it's keeps statistic relevant, timelier, and more frequent and more granular. Like in some area, like for survey, if we want more granular data, we have to increase the samples up to maybe 5 times of the sample. And increasing the samples will create a lot of budget for survey. But and then if we want to do census, also need a budget. So usually, if big data can be used and more reduce the budget, then there's also and regarding the timeline, in some of the survey or census need a long time, usually maybe 6 months or even more than 1 year to produce, because if the data is quite big. And so official statistic needs to develop faster and relevant, because like
Sorry, TT.
yes.
Are you moving the slides? Because I think we're still now on slide number 13.
No, I didn't moving the.
Ah, okay.
I think Matthew is sharing his screen, so Matthew, you have to.
Oh.
The slides.
Oh, I thought I was on. Sorry, I thought I was on slide 15.
No, it's now 15.
Okay.
Slide 15.
Maybe there's some delay in my moving.
Yep, maybe. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and so and then because of the demand of the data for the 2030 agenda, which is, has a lot of indicators, and also like the voluntary national report that have to produce annually, and for monitoring of the SDGs usually need more frequent data, and also need more granular data like for the program of the SDG. So in order to leave no one behind, that's why big data is needed, because like with more than 200 indicators that all cannot be supplied by only survey or census or administrative data. And regarding the granularity, also it's not only need data, other data, it need data, other data source. Yes, next please. Yes, the challenge of using big data. First is legislative. Like most of the, as far as I know, most of the legislative did not incorporate data access to big data yet. Only few, I think, only few NSO already have legislative, like statistical law. And also regarding the privacy, some of the data like credit card or debit card data is not, and then also mobile phone data, that's need privacy, and also the GPS data, and also need financial because it's a potential cost of data sourcing. I mean, some of the data like other data needs some of the budget, because like if you didn't have a cloud, or you didn't have a data lake for processing the data, you have to rent or to borrow some other or a private company that can use the cloud, or your cloud, or data processing. Sorry if I'm not clear. For example, when we try to use mobile phone data, we didn't have a big data lake, and the data is very big. So we borrow the cloud in the MNO to process the data. So this is also regard the privacy as well. And methodology. The methodology include the data quality and stability, and technology is related to information technology as well. And the methodology, there is a plenty of methodology available, and which one have to be used for official statistics, which one is more appropriate. So, and then reflect the data that can be used for policy making. This is also the challenge because plenty of methodology, then we have to decide which methodology is appropriate and can reflect reality of our data. Yes, next please. And actually, UN committee also have a global working group on big data. You can register and involve in there, like you can just listening or join if there is training or something or workshop. And this is created in 2014. Yes, next. And it has two. The global working group, and then now the name is UNCEBD, UN Committee on Expert on Big Data, and also it has a global platform. It is a collaborative environment. There are some data as well in there, like AIS. It is automatic information system data, which consists of data from vessel. You can use that either for official statistic or for just research and experimental. And the task team, yes, next please. The task team, the UNCBDS task team, it has for satellite and remote sensing. It's led by Canada, and currently have some project mostly for agriculture, and then for SDGs too, goals too. And it also has task team on mobile phone with various use case, like for tourism, for commuting, disaster management, and others. And also the use of scanner data for official statistics. It's led by Netherlands. There has also some projects, and you can go to the website and then register and ask for to join as a member of the task team, which one that interests. Yes, next please. And other is task team on IIS. IIS it's quite active. It also has some project like for trade statistic, for tourism, and for other purpose. And they also have some training. They did training on Python and also how to process the AIS. The AIS data is available at the global platform. Actually, global platform is developed by ONS. It's kind of like a platform for exchange research and something. And the task team on training and competencies and capacities, they develop the maturity metrics and also develop e-learning for various training in data, in big data, including Earth observation, AIS, also mobile phone, and scanner data. So it's a e-learning actually, and then you can also maybe later train in apply in that training. And the task team of the use of privacy preserving is with privacy. It's led by CBS Netherlands. Yes, that's all. Is there any question or comment?
Thank you, Titi. Thank you for that very good summary of big data. I think I would just I'll do two things. I'm just going to add to that, and then I think because we're short on time, I suggest we go on to the next section for next without stopping for questions and comments, and then collect questions and comments just before we have a break. Okay, so we'll go into the next section and then have a question and comment section. Good, thumbs up. But I would just like to emphasize that it's very important. You talked about the UK and others, that they label big data, the use of big data, as experimental. And you talked about the fundamental principles, and the fundamental principles of official statistics, they don't really deal well with a lot of the kind of aspects of big data that we'll have to deal with in this project. And for me, the main problem is the main challenge is that although Tita, you mentioned that big data can be relevant, sometimes and usually they're not necessarily relevant, and that's the problem, because they're not designed for policy purposes, and official statistics need to be really on point in terms of meeting user needs, and we really have to make sure that the relevance is there, and I think that one of the main problems is actually what I would call bias. So you talked about leaving no one behind and the SDGs, but and big data can help, but big data can be very biased because it's kind of random and generated by specific, in lots of cases, by specific population groups. And usually those, when we're talking about things like social media data, these are people which have digital access. So that's excluding people that don't have access to digital software and phones, these kinds of things. In lots of cases, mobile phones are shared in families, for instance, and we have to kind of understand we're getting a partial picture of reality, so we have to kind of deal with those kind of biases. In terms of the quality, and we'll look more at quality later, big data provides different kinds of quality challenges to that of traditional data sources, and we have to deal with them. In kind of understanding which big data sources are kind of the most useful in terms of the most ready to be used. Sensor data is really good, Earth observation data is really good, and we know in this project we'll be using a lot of that because its readiness is quite high, because the quality dimensions are quite high. It's kind of relevant, it is timely, all these kinds of things. But also we have to kind of think about the ethics quite a lot. With Earth observation data, you're looking at pictures of people's homes, which is quite a sensitive matter. So we have to kind of, I think about all these things when we think about big data, and we'll talk more about that later. Titi, I'm going to hand back to you to talk about a bit more about okay, how do we use big data in terms of we need to use data science. What does that mean, and what are kind of the implications for official statistics? Titi?
Yes, thank you, Matthew. So yes, next, what is a data science? Because like this is kind of like new knowledge. I mean, yeah. Previously, we only like know what is a statistician, but now what is data science and data scientist. So it's a application of tool, methods, and practice. That's and in the UN data strategy, it also mentioned data scientists and data engineering and data analyze. For data scientists, that they develop the algorithm, and also actually there is two type of algorithm. One is the human and machine learning, and that's I think in the future statistics needs more data scientists, like because if we use more big data, then we didn't need to do with like regression, but we have to set the parameter of the machine learning and check how much the error or something like that. And for data engineers, they help and support the data scientists with like they connect like the data, and then they prepare if the data scientists want to run the data in the cloud, at the cloud or at the data lake. And for the data analyze, they examine the large data, and then also what indicator can be produced or should be produced. Yes. Next, please. This is actually from the big data, the data science. It's everywhere, but also it is applicable for data science in official statistics. It is actually the same with data science in official statistics. Yes. Next, please. Oh, yeah. So in applied, it is all the same. Like we have import, transform, and communicate. That's communicate is the data analyze, and then like for the import entity, it's works for the data scientist and also data engineer. Next, please. For tools, platform that's Spark and Hadoop, and the tools is Tableau. Like if you want to like a table map or something, use a Tableau also in the framework. And the language can be usually Python, uh, and R also, and Java, JavaScript. Like for IIS, mobile phones, and for Earth observation can be Python, but it's also can be Java. Java. Yes. Next, please. That's a language. There are plenty of language now for the data science. Python, C. Actually, if you know C++ is also used in a census or survey also. And yeah, R, mostly R for statistics. So if you can use R, then like data SPSS or if use or other statistic purpose, you can use R. And R also developed like open source. It's developed by many people, and it has a lot of library. Python. Continue.
I couldn't hear you for the last minute, TT. Roth, others, did you hear TT?
Yeah, we could hear her. I could hear her well.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Sometimes it disconnected.
Okay. Then yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now. I think sometimes your mic is not close, so we find it hard to hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, but I think that's the end of that section, and be very interested to hear any questions from our colleagues in Cambodia and Germany. Please raise your hand or just raise a question or comment. Anything that needs to be clarified? This was a very kind of a quick and basic overview of big data and data science. So anything that's not clear or you'd like to also add your knowledge and thoughts about?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a quick question based on the presentation of TT. I interested in the term of the taxonomy of the big data, and could you more clarify on that? Thank you. You got
Okay.
my question? Okay.
Yes. 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 I got my question. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's actually this is taken from the Eurostat. The big data. The early. I forgot the title. You can download. Early adopter of the big data. So that's mentioned the source like from communication system. It's like from mobile network operator data, and then from uh, and then smart mobile devices and social posts. So they divided the taxonomy as the communication system, World Wide Web, business process, generate, and then sensor and crowdsourcing of big data. And they also divided. Actually, it's a for tourism, but it's also applicable for other use case or other statistics. And like web activity, it can be like Google Trends or others website and static website. It's like scraping or crowding. Like if you want to know about what people say about the NSI, then you can scrape like what people say about the NSI Cambodia, something like. And yeah, and that is why also like when you open the website, there is a cookies. Then you have to accept the cookies. The now the cookies is also uh, is the data they analyze, especially for marketing. And like for business process like flight booking system, it's like Amadeus. The Amadeus data is when you like check in, either check in from the flight, then the data, and also when you booking, then they have the data. This is can be used also like mostly for tourism statistics, but and also for others possibility, like if you want to develop the like for transportation also, if you know from the booking and other uh, like to build the airport or to build the road, that can be used also. And store or cashier data and some of the financial transaction, like the financial transaction, it can be used also for usually for the national account or something. And for sensor, like traffic loops, and also like vessel. This is like for sensor, including the satellite. This is from sensor, and also from the AIS. Like now, every ships has have to sensor and then capture, and there is some company that have the data. And one is the IIS, automatic information system. This is and it can be used for other purpose, like for trade data like export and import. We can combine the data, like if we combine like the AIS data with satellite, then we can know what is the export of the vessel, like whether the export is coal, exactly coal, or the export others. And that's one example. And crowdsourcing data, it that's include the OpenStreetMap, that's a map, and then also OpenCell ID. This is the BTS data, and it can be used also for like 9C1, like a network, the population coverage by like internet access, something like that. And before you use, and it need actually compare with I mean check first whether the data is correct or not. And yes, as mentioned, as Matthew mentioned, some of the data, the problem of the big data is especially in the selectivity bias, the bias. If we didn't know, like when we use like Twitter, if we didn't know the population, how many people that when they use Twitter to post, and where they use we didn't know how many people that use Twitter. So yeah, the bias is quite. If we can know the population, then we can use inference to make a population. It's actually like a census, or yeah, like a survey. We can make inference to make the population to become the population data. I hope that's clear enough.
Yes, thank you, Didi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both for the good question and the good answer. I think what I will say now, I mean, a lot of you need time to think about some of these things, and a lot of the kind of implications we're going to talk about in the second half of the training today. So please do keep thinking about what you'd like to know more about, because at the end of the sessions, we really like to know from you what we can talk to you more about next time. We've got limited time in this session. So I think I will say now, let's have a break to kind of refresh ourselves. Maybe we can take just 10 minutes just for comfort and refreshment. And we'll start again in 10 minutes time, and see you all in 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Titi, hi.
Hi.
Do you have the? Do you want to share your screen? If you have the latest version of the PowerPoint, yeah, then it's easier for you to move the slides, yeah.
Okay. Maybe yeah. Maybe I should cut it because like when I share, then it needs a process to yeah. Some maybe if I cut it because it's big, then it's need a long time. If I start because yeah, I think I have to cut. I think I have to cut like start from this one. So when I share it, is not it didn't need a long time to process to the team. I mean, I cut from slide 1 to just start it. That I cut from slide 1 to slide 30. But also the problem if they want to know, go back to the first slide.
It's okay, TT. It's okay, TT. We can try. We can try with the full slides first. If it
Okay.
doesn't work, then we will figure it out later. But yes, please try with the full slide first.
Can you see the slide now?
Yep.
Yep, we can see it.
Great. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everybody is there. So handing over to Titi now to talk about how we get some of this data, how we access it, and the very important implications of big data around stakeholder engagement. So what partnerships we need to think about when using big data for official statistics. It's really important. The interesting thing about big data and official statistics is that it forces official statisticians to look outside of their box, to look outside of their normal boundaries of professional working, which is actually a really positive thing, and we should do more of that anyway. And also we need to think about, we talked about it in the previous session about data quality issues. So we know that big data has slightly, well, quite significantly different kind of quality issues to deal with, but we kind of have to kind of deal with them in kind of the same ways we deal with more traditional sources. And Titi will talk some more about the implications of that now. Titi, please.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Yeah, actually, if you know that at the GS the generic process business model, it's a there is a specified needs. So we have to. I mean, it's actually the same with like when we did it census survey and others, and we have to specify needs. And actually, who's the relevant stakeholder that wants to produce data, and then also there is possibility that the stakeholder also produce like map agency or like Ministry of Communication or other agency or maybe private also. And what is the indicator that expected to deliver? Right now, that's indicator that's expected is SDGs, but maybe other indicators like digitalization indicators as other. And when and maybe when is maybe next year or in coming 6 months and other. And how we how and also why. And the stakeholders, National Statistic Office, or yeah, and big data holders, that providers. It can be private and it can be also government and organization. Like if the NSI or the NSO didn't have data scientists, then we can collaborate with the data order organization. It can be private or government. It can be like academia and also private or other entities. And like for like mobile data, there is flow minders, position and others, and also other institution related to the regulation and planning, because like maybe we need to approach them like to change the regulation or to amend the regulation, something like to to allow us, to allow the statistical office to access the big data in private or in government, and user of official statistic produce that using big data. And the scope that we have to think before we use, like whether the big data is for policy making, like for indicator SDGs is definitely for policy making, like for planning on other institution related to the SDGs indicator, they have to make a policy making to achieve the 2030 agenda, and also program. They have to make a program to achieve the 2020 agenda or 2020 target they set up before. And what if the data already exists, whether the data is already exists, if it's actually at big data also. Administrative data and with census or survey. And is there any expert? How can they involve? Whether we have to involve academia, research agency, or others institution. So we have to can set up by like maybe workshop, working group, or task assignment in a group or others. Next, other for big data, the other is the problem is usually the legal framework governing the process, because like uh, some of other most of the big data actually a bit similar with administrative data, but big data is very big. Very huge. Like the data is already there usually normally. So legal framework and also laws and regulation. Like if you want to use maybe mobile phone or Twitter, uh, if you didn't, you just like scrap, then Twitter will close. You cannot use. Maybe you can use, you can try like maybe only 2 months or 3 months, but after that, then so that's why you have like to propose to Twitter and have collaboration or something, and also for use a mobile phone, and also if you want to use the big data from map agency, the map, the satellite map, then you have to approach the map agency also, how to use their how their data can be used. And regulation. Every actually every NSE or they have statistical law, but if the statistical law whether the statistical law enough to access the big data or include or not. Usually, like even in my country in Indonesia, the statistical law is obsolete actually. Only as far as I know, only two countries have. One is Estonia. Its statistical law include the access for other data, including electronic data, and Oman. I think they have a new statistical law, the 2019 statistical law. And if the statistical not update, do we have to amend, and how long if need we need to, because like statistical law usually need a parliament approval or something. Then the second one maybe needs a government or ministry decree. So we have to approach government like to have a decree for or regulation or new regulation to access the big data, because big data is a lot, including the platform, digital platform like maybe like Amazon or something, yeah, like in Alibaba, that's yeah, or like in Indonesia there's some digital platform. We have to ask the government to have government actually president decree to access the data, and other law is including Privacy Act, whether the Privacy Act accommodate the access to big data, or it's also the problem of inharmonious of act, like uh, if other law inharmonious means that if you want to access like maybe for immigration data or map agency data, but they have also law that they cannot share their data. So what we have to do then, we need the agreement or MOU for the access data, and like you need to approach them, make coordination or something for access the data if there is inharmonious or in the law and act. And data access model, yeah, that's first through law or regulation is possible, like, but it need a long time, at least maybe years, or regulation maybe need more than 6 months. And also reciprocal, if government have like a government cloud, like in Oman they have a government cloud and all the data is in there, then every institution can be used. And uh, reciprocal means that like maybe a company can have benefit, like they can have marketing analyze from the statistic, and teach them how to use big data. So it's not need. And also commercial, usually commercial need a budget. uh, Regarding as mentioned before by Matthew, for big data, it's actually the problem is in selectivity. Yeah, the bias, selectivity bias, and for the quality assurance framework, the actually the same with when we did the census or survey. Like when we did the census and survey, we have UNKIF for official statistics that also useful for the administrative data as well, but some of not useful for big data. And if NSO also have KIF that can be used, also the in a in the structure of UNKIF, that's only the it's if you have been read, then this is the content, and it's actually the same. The quality principle that's managing the problem is because it's actually the same when you process about other data, like the data from tax office, the data from the customs, data from the immigration, uh, uh, compare with census or survey. The difference is that we can control for census and survey, we can control since the beginning, since the field work, like we can like doing monitoring, quality monitoring. So it is the same, like we have to through three gates, like the first gate, second gates, and third gate. Like the the first gate is the in the process of the census and survey. It is in the field work, but in big data, in the input. So we have to kind of like cleansing the data and checking the data, something like that. So, and that's the level two, yeah, the same in the process. Like with census and survey, the process when we entry the data or when we did the coding or editing, and we do the cleansing also in the process. And with the statistical output for big data is also the same. After we did the survey, then we can do our census, we do calibration also. It is the same with big data. We did calibration and checking, either with census, with administrative data, and also big data. We can use big data like for checking, like if Cambodia have kind of like hotel or hotel survey, then if you like scrap the hotel web or hotel booking, then you can compare the data. The same, normally it's the same, but you also have to consider the bias also, the selectivity bias, like because like how many hotel web hotel or booking website, like how many in Cambodia, and also not all hotels put the 100% rooms in that booking. I mean, in that website, like Booking.com or for example Agoda. Normally, not all 100% of rooms available they put in Agoda. So that's also create when you compare or calculate. But you can compare not only for the numbers, but maybe the patterns, and then do some statistic about them. Actually, now they're already like GSBM 5.0, but yeah, when do the quality, we also refer to the GS BPM also. And in the quality management and GSBBM, improvement in quality statistic product requires the improvement in statistical process. So actually, that's almost the same, like when you process the census or the survey. But the problem is you can control the data at the fieldwork. Like when you do census or do survey, you can control the data at the fieldwork. Like if the enumerator do something wrong, then you can do like management risk with that. But for big data, if data is available, then you can do that. But you have to have some methodology or yeah, to process the data to get the good quality of the data. And GBS BBM also describe and define the business process of the official statistic and yeah, and then quality management. Next. The quality assurance for the important official statistics, that's institutional and business environment, privacy, security, completeness, accuracy, selectivity, coherence, validity, accessibility, clarity, and relevance. So the accuracy of the selectivity, that's mostly the problem of the big data, the selectivity bias as mentioned by Matthew before. Like when we use like some application the data, whether it's the can represent, I mean the data can represent the population. If not, then what we should something like that. And coherence, we have to compare with other data source. That is the at the output later on. Do some calibration to make the big data relevance. And UNIS produce some quality assurance framework for big data. And actually, it seems like still draft, but it's already used widely and suggests a framework that it assesses the three hyperdimensions, covers three phases of the statistical production. This is the main data. So UNIS also suggests that the three phases, this is actually the same with the census survey and administrative data. The input is actually the first gate, the throughput is the second gate, and output is reporting is the third gate of the resulting statistic. So big data also have to through all the three gates in the quality gates. It is the same one with the census and the survey. And the framework, there is a three hyper dimensions related to the, and maybe later Matthew and Rod will explain. I mean, have exercise. So relate to the type of the data, entity of the data. So before we use, we have to scrutinize the type of the data and whether the data can be used or not, something like that. And metadata, the description of the concept, or metadata of the data actually, the concept of the data. Like if we plan to use the observation, Earth observation, what the Earth observation show, and also if we want to use mobile phone, then what the data in mobile phone show, what we can what indicator, something like that. So we need the metadata from the provider. It depends. Like in some of the big data, the metadata usually available. Like for the mobile phone, is available in the provider, and for the Earth observation, is the metadata also available in the Google Earth engine, and the data is related to the quality of the this is the table is taken also from the UNIS, uh, the institutional, the source, and the complexity complements usability, applicability, coherence, and validity. And the data itself regarding the accuracy, total linkability, coherence, and validity. Like the accuracy, we have to check and also trial and error compare is kind of like needs some more time because with big data it is kind of like a new data source. Not many people trust the data, so we have to uh, the discovery stage, acquisition, the approach, the factor to consider. Input factor or external or internal, the reliability status and other status. Transparency and interpretability. This is also important, but it's not only about the data collection and the processing, but also the methodology. We have to be transparent about the methodology because as big data, not many user trust the big data can be official. So we have to explain the methodology or the nature of the data also, and then make the user believe and trust the data can be used as policy making. Yeah, I skip this one because this is one will be exercise next one, and this is the throughput the second gates actually, the result of the processing and data that process should be stable, and application of the quality gates. The NSO or the institution have to employ the quality gates of the quality control of business process. For example, uh, if the we have to check if the the process of the data in the second one is good enough or not. So like and the throughput, the output. This is the last one. Actually, it is the same when you did the census or survey, then we check the last table. I mean, yeah, the last as the table, the result, and we compare or calibrate with other data, maybe with previous survey or census, or with other data like when we did census, when we check with the registration, population registration as other or other data. It's actually the same. So meet the reporting criteria of the NSO and uh, provide information to allow user uh, inform the decision making. I mean, um, you have to make the user not misinterpreted the data. So it means transparent, and when we use the data set whether the data in the methodology, then whether data can be used or there is a limitation of the data, something like that, and follow the transparency. That's especially the in the methodology. It's actually the same when we did with the census or survey. Like when we did the survey, like economic for poverty, then we have to explain like what poverty line that we use, something like that, to make the whether like it is a national poverty line or like World Bank poverty line, something like that, and follow the general approach with quality dimension indicators factor. This is one of example. Actually, this is the one that at the UNCBD, the satellite account. Sorry, the satellite imaging imagery data. So but with maybe like it says there's missing data due to the persistent cloud cover, but there is possibility the cloud is already removed or something like that. So we have to check the data if when we use satellite image or nighttime light. When use big data, how to communicate for official statistic? Actually, a bit hard compare when we use like for only beta statistic or for experimental statistic. We have to do the like press release and do some publication, uh, clearly declare the methodology and some of the the limitation of the methodology, and we have to like kind of do some workshop for the stakeholder to make them understand, or for the journalists, the one that if you do press release, if the journalists understand, then they can twist the information. So that's all my. Maybe Matthew will add or something.
Can you move to the next slide, please, Titi? Thanks. Thank you very much, Titi. Very interesting. There's a lot to take in there, and I really would appreciate if anyone's got any questions or comments or knowledge to add. Please put your hand up, and hopefully we can clarify things for you. Anyone, any comments or questions, please? I saw a hand.
Bà Bon
Yes,
Sumaitia, some change bong bà.
Thank you, Titi and Matu, for the comprehensive presentation. As you know, we have the pilot project with the ASEAN Statistics by scraping the data on the agoda.com, and we are very worried about the quality of the data. And thank you for your presentation. We do not know how to accept the data that we collect from the agoda.com. What is the quality of the data? Since the number of the hotel in Cambodian, as I personally know that some of the hotel, they do not register with the agoda.com. And one time I went to Siem Reap at the Khmer New Year, and at that time I see the foreigner, they come into the hotel and they show the booking confirmed from the agoda.com. But the hotel, they do not know they confirm to give this room to the guests. This is what we are challenge. We are facing this challenge. And yes, as you show in the framework and how to make the data is quality by using the metadata. And one more thing, we as from the statistician perspective, we want you to more elaborate on the excuse me on the character of big data. As we learn a lot from the especially on YouTube, but we know from the not a statistician perspective on what is different between the volume, variety, velocity, and variability. If you can elaborate on this by a statistician perspective, I think we really need to know. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Really good questions. I'm going to hand you over to Titi because I think Indonesia had quite a lot of experience with tourism statistics from web scraping. And yes, if you can say a bit more about the difference between volume, velocity, and variability, that would be also be useful. Thank you, Titi.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Actually, I go because using web hotel web booking, it's there is not only one, like not only Agoda, there also booking.com. But why most of the NSO use Agoda? Because only Agoda has room left available that um, can be used as the uh, can be used as comparison or checking. Um, in my opinion, Agoda cannot be used yet because, like you mentioned, in the hotel there is also problem. Like there are marketing people and there are the back. I mean the production. So often marketing that post how many rooms in Agoda. So in the back side, I mean like in the content or they didn't know. They only how many room available. So that's what one problem. So they only know how many room available and how many rooms rent, but they didn't know how many marketing people put the rooms available to the Agoda. But you can use statistic like Boxcox and other statistic tool to check first to check and then you can compare but not using the number of room available as the room occupancy but you use the graph. I mean compare the room occupancy only the graph the compare. If you have survey then you can compare with that but using graph, not like comparing the room number is not comparable, not apple to apple. That one. And another thing, you can compare because like in Agoda there is address, then you can compare the address one to one. But it took yeah one to one like uh, in Cambodia. In Siem Reap, maybe there is a hotel, then you can compare the name in Agoda and in your hotel survey. Then you can use whether they answer the because usually like in Indonesia, when they answer our questionnaire, uh, they kind of lie. Why they lie? Because they afraid of tax first, and they afraid of competition. Like if they say that the hotel is fully booked, but all of the hotel fully booked, then the government or local government will allow the hotel to build another hotel. So that's a competition, and so you can see like it can be used as calibration if you have survey But it's for official statistics, it seems cannot be used yet. I hope that's answer the question.
Yes, thank you. Another one more is on characteristic of big data.
Oh yeah, the big data. Yes, the velocity and the volume. Yeah, like for statistician, we have to produce data timely, faster, and accurately, something like
I
that.
think TT, if
So
you can move to that slide, I think that would be helpful. I think it's on slide number 9. I think slide number 9
okay, yes, yes.
at the very start. I think, yeah. And then afterwards, no worry, I can share my screen because we've come to the exercise part, so it's okay. You can stay on that slide. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's volume. We refer for the statistician volume, which is usually big data is enormous. Usually in terms of statistician, we usually deal only with census or survey, which is not quite big. Although in Indonesia sometimes it's big, like when we did the census, but still can be accommodated with our server. So, but with big data, we have to invest on the cloud or on the data lake with many nodes. And in terms of variety, it's a heterogeneous. I mean heterogeneous because like big data is many as I mentioned before. It can be from like mobile phone, from Twitter, and can be unstructured and structured. With server, we can only have like structured data, like because like in survey or census is structure, but big data we cannot like compile the same with census or survey. So we need kind of like data lake or cloud that because most of the big data is unstructured, like from the Facebook, from Twitter, and also if not if structure, it needs also it's quite big. Like mobile phone data in Indonesia is more than 150 terabyte a year. And then that's only for the data. But for the processing, we usually need like 3 times or 4 times more space to process. And the process in it like 3 months or 2 months or 3 months of the process. Uh, it's actually the same with the satellite data. That's also used. So this is something new, and also for statistician with census or survey, we usually use statistician, but for big data, we often need data scientists, especially when we use machine learning. Because and then also in machine learning there are plenty of methodology, like whether you use deep learning or you use artificial network or you use decision tree. That's a new knowledge also. So although with census we can also use possible we use machine learning, but machine learning only for like editing, for coding or something like that. And velocity, the faster of the data available. Like for census or survey, we need like maybe 1 or 2 months in the fields. Also the processing, we need like 3 months and even until 6 months on the processing. And variability, that's refer inconsistency, because like there is possibility inconsistency in big data. Like for example, when you use mobile phone, previously maybe you have three uh, mobile operator, but then one is bankrupt. So that's a create inconsistency. What we to do? Do we have to wait until they are appear again, or we have to use inference, like maybe using market share or something? I hope that's clear enough. Or yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can just add to that. It's a really interesting question about thinking about these characteristics, because I think everything that we're looking at in the national strategy, or the methodology and the quality considerations, relates to this question about what these things mean for the indicator we're looking at. And we think about volume. It means there's a lot, but it's normally messy. So it's kind of unstructured, as was said, but it's untidy. So when we're looking at maybe satellite data or nighttime light data, something like this, we have to think, well, how do we get to what's relevant to what the user needs? So often it needs a lot of processing. In terms of the variety, I think that the important thing here is that probably not one big data source offers the kind of the best solution. That actually, if we really want a good solution for users, we have to look at the variety of data sources there are to kind of help put together the right picture. And when we think about this indicator that we're going to work on in the project, it's very important that, okay, we can in the next few months focus on one data source we think is quite good and readily usable, but think in the future, how can we add further value for the user with other big data sources? When we look at velocity, I think velocity is it's probably one of the main benefits of big data, that it tends to be produced constantly almost. Satellites are whizzing around the Earth on a constant basis, and people are tweeting on a constant basis, this kind of thing, and that's good. But then I guess we have to ask the question: how do we time bound these data sets to give the user what the user needs? When we talk about variability, we talked earlier about the cloud covers with Earth observation and satellite. So the data is going to be variable, and there's also this issue of selectivity. So it's variable in terms of who's tweeting, or who's buying hotels, who's using Agoda, who's turning up to the door on the hotel. So they're all kind of really relevant, really good question, kind of figuring out how we approach the indicator. But hopefully that's helped answer the question. If there are not any more questions, I don't see any more hands. Maybe I can hand over to Roth, who wants to talk to you about an exercise to help this come alive. Roth.
Thank you, Matthew and TT, and thank you for the question, Bong. I'll just say that this first training session is relatively broad, and that's by design. We want to give an overall overview of what big data is about and what types of big data are out there, and what considerations we should take when we look into using big data. If we're the question that you're asking are absolutely relevant, and we at the UN, as well as with other development partners, are trying to manage how we're using big data for official statistics. Then that's a key term, for official statistics, because if we at NIS, I'm sure you know this, well, actually more than me, because I just started. There are considerations to take when we are looking at producing official statistics, and we are fortunate to have an agreed upon guideline in the fundamental principles document for official statistic, and we've been using that to guide us. And we also have our SDG metadata for producing some SDGs. But for big data, it's still new, it's still an evolving topic, so we don't necessarily have an international standard or agreed upon standard on how we are going to collect, process, and analyze big data for producing official statistics. And this project is one for us to pilot and explore that use. So you will see, you will have questions for sure. You will have questions on why we've taken some decisions, and on questions on why, whether these steps are relevant to the steps that you would normally take if you're using your census or surveys to produce official statistics. So that being said, we are in this together. We are trying to learn how to do this together because the international standards are still not available. We are working on it. Some UN entities are working on it, especially the one that we're going to talk about now. Let me share my screen a bit. So we think it will be helpful if we can take this moment to sort of work on a little exercise. It doesn't have to be that long. I know I put in 20 minutes, but it's necessary. It doesn't have to be the case, and you can work on it after this meeting as well. And that is this quality framework. I think a question by Mr. Samrat is relevant on the quality assurance element of the use of big data. So the UN ECE in Europe actually have developed this data quality assurance framework for big data. It's also in one of the suggested reading that Matthew introduced early on, one of the two, one of the three actually. So I recommend everyone to have a look at it. It's, you know, it has a lot of detail in it, and it's quite intuitive. It's quite easy to understand. Although I will say that this is not an internationally agreed standard. It's still sort of a suggested framework, but you can still use this to help provide quality checks to big data. So to help think about it, I know there's a lot of information in there, but to help think about it some more, all you have to do is to think that there are three phases to quality assure big data, and that's very similar to surveys and censuses, as TT mentioned. You have the input phase, you have the throughput phase, and you have the output phase. And for each of the phase, you have different categories to consider. I've shown this phase, the input phase, as an example. So for the input phase, the categories that you consider, well, there's two big categories. You have hyperdimensions and quality dimensions. And under the hyperdimension, you have three things to consider. You have source, metadata, and data. Under each of the hyperdimension, you have multiple quality dimensions. So for source, you have institutional business environment, privacy and security. For metadata, you have complexity, completeness, and the following. And for data, you have the following, as you can see. And then if you drill down even more, if you go deeper, you will find other factors that will help you to ensure that once you've answered these questions or you provided information on these factors to consider, you can safely say that you have abide by or adhere to or respect the quality dimension that the factors try to address. So for example, I know there's a lot of information. Let's just, for this exercise, we're taking just one hyperdimension, one quality dimension, and one group of factors to consider. So the source hyperdimension, the quality dimension, the institutional business environment quality dimension, and the factors that follow. You have essentially 1, 2, 3, and 4 factors. As you can see here, I put them under this box for us to have a look, and that's essentially for us to try and see if for Cambodia, what are the factors, like for example, the sustainability through time factors to consider. What are the factors that could affect the sustainability of the data providers' data in relation to the NSO requirements? So what does this mean? For example, if you're using big data from, let's say, from Agoda, and you're working with Agoda to make sure that the data are relevant to the requirement by NIS. You know, you work with them and you make sure that the data are acceptable by NIS. But let's say in a year's time, Agoda face a lot of financial problems and they go bankrupt. So you don't have the data from Agoda anymore. You would have to work with another data provider, and then you will have to make sure that data meets NSO or meet NIS requirements and so on. So these are some of the considerations that we have to make for ensuring sustainability of the data. Another example is on the reliability status. So in terms of this factor, it's essentially trying to ask whether the data that you have received will be reliable through all the time. So what does reliability mean? So big data are not collected by NIS. So that means that the private company or other entity that collects big data might change their methodology or their metadata to collect the data in the future as well. And the changes sometimes are good and sometimes are not so good because they do not meet the NSO requirement to make sure that the data is of good quality for official statistics production. So what can we do about this? What has NIS done on traditional data such as census and surveys to ensure that we keep the methodology and the metadata the same or usable throughout time? So these are some of the considerations that we can look into when we want to quality assure big data for the input phase, for example. So, and here are some of the questions that you can ask. Well, I've only picked this one because because of time. So for the input phase, and under the input phase, you have the source hyperdimension, and under the source hyperdimension, we pick the institutional business quality dimension. These are the questions that you can ask that would help you come up with considerations for the factors. So these are the questions. I'll come back to the question in a bit, but I just wanted to give you a picture of how that would look like. So we go back to the slide earlier. As you can see, the yellow highlighted one. The questions that I showed earlier basically help provide answers to the factors to consider column here on sustainability, reliability, transparency, and interpretability. So if you answer all these questions, you will be able to get enough information to help answer, to help provide information on the factors to consideration, to consider a column. So we don't have a lot of time. Maybe in the next 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes or so, if you could work among yourself to answer as many of these questions as possible. You don't have to answer all of them today, but it will be helpful if you can try to answer this question, and then maybe in the final 2 to 3 minutes, share some of your findings. Maybe Mr. Somitir can share the findings from the discussion with us so that we can better understand the situation in Cambodia and also use the inputs for our project as well. So why don't we start now and try to answer these questions. And if you have any clarification or question for us, please feel free to raise your hand and ask those questions. And you can discuss in Khmer, Bong. And if you want to ask any question in Khmer, you can ask that, and I will help translate to our consultants. But this is just for you to help start thinking about the process. So let's start, and hopefully by the next 10-15 minutes, we're able to answer some, if not all, of these questions. And if you have any questions, please feel free to do that. So thank you. I'll give you time to discuss as a group.